The history of London, the main city and capital of Great Britain, goes back to more than 2,000 years ago. Since then, London has been able to show progress that has made it one of the most economic and cultural capitals in the world. London witnessed plague epidemics, the Great Fire of London, civil war, aerial bombings and terrorist attacks. London is the heart of England. The origin of the name London is still questionable. Over the past centuries there have been many opinions about the origin of this name. Many of them can be ignored because they are fictitious and have no linguistic basis, or seem historical, and few of them have an academic foundation that makes them more plausible. No one has a solid reason for this. According to Geoffrey Monmouth's Legends of the History of British Kings, Brutus of Troy discovered the city of London after defeating the powerful giants Gog and Magog. London was known as Saar Troia, Troia Nova, which was known in Latin as New Troy and, according to a false etymology, was corrupted into Trinophantum. The Trinobantum people are an Iron Age tribe that occupied the main area of the Romans. Geoffrey was able to provide information about the prehistory of London through a large encyclopedia about legendary kings, such as King Laud, who claimed to be the one who named the town Saar Loden from which London is named, and who he was buried in Wedgett. However, despite extensive excavations, archaeologists have not found any evidence of the existence of large buildings in this area. All that was found were scattered parts of prehistoric collections, evidence of agriculture at that time and some other things, and works indicating the presence of residents. While they did not find anything essential, some believe, although this is unlikely, that the pre-Roman city still exists. But since there are many areas of the Roman city that are still unexplored, it is possible to discover these basic structures. Londinium was established as a city for civilians about 4 years after the conquest of Britain by the Romans. Like Rome, London was built on a point on a river narrow enough to be bridged, and the city's strategic location provided easy access to most of Europe. Early Roman London covered a relatively small area, about the size of Hyde Park. Around 60 AD, the city was destroyed by the Iceni tribe led by their queen Boudica. It was quickly rebuilt as a Roman-planned city and may have recovered after 10 years, and the city grew rapidly in the following decades. During the 2nd century, Londinium was at its height, replacing Colchester as the capital of Roman Britain, Britannia. Its population was about 60,000 people. The city had large public buildings, including the largest church north of the Alps, thermal temples, a Roman theater and a massive castle for the city's garrison. Political instability and stagnation led to a slow decline from the 3rd century onwards. Between the years 180 and 225, the Romans built the defensive wall of London around the land side of the city. The wall was approximately 3 kilometers, 1.9 miles long, 6 meters 20 feet high, and 2.5 meters, 8.2 feet thick. This wall would remain intact for another 1,600 years, defining the boundaries of the City of London for centuries to come. Today, the city's perimeter is roughly defined by the line of the ancient wall. Londinium was an ethnically diverse city that included residents from across the Roman Empire, including peoples native to Britain, continental Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. In the late 3rd century, Londinium was subjected to numerous raids by Saxon pirates. This led to the construction of an additional wall on the river bank from 255 onwards. 6 of the city's 7 traditional gates date back to Roman times: Ludgate, Newgate, Aldergate, Cripplegate, Bishopsgate and Aldgate. Moorgate is an exception, as it dates back to the Middle Ages. By the 5th century, the Roman Empire was rapidly declining, and in 410, the Roman occupation of Britain ended. After that, the Roman city also suffered a rapid decline, and at the end of the 5th century the city was practically abandoned. Until recently, it was thought that Anglo-Saxon settlements initially avoided the area immediately surrounding Londinium. However, the discovery of an Anglo-Saxon cemetery in Covent Garden suggests that settlers began to settle there at least as early as the 6th century, and perhaps as early as the 5th century. The main focus of this settlement was outside the Roman walls and consisted of a residential cluster a short distance west along what is today the Strand, between Aldwych and Trafalgar Square. This suffix was known as Londonvic, the suffix vic here indicating mutual settlement. Recent excavations have also highlighted the population density and relatively complex urban organization of this early Anglo-Saxon London, which was organized in a grid pattern and housed a population that probably numbered between 10,000 and 12,000. Seven early Anglo-Saxon London belonged to a people called the Middle Saxons, from whom the name of the county of Middlesex is derived, and they probably occupied an area close to present-day Hertfordshire and Surrey. However, in the 7th century, the London area was annexed to the Kingdom of Essex. In 604, Sibbert, King of Essex, converted to Christianity and London received its first post-Roman bishop, Mellitus. During this period Essex was under the absolute rule of King Ethelbert the Count, and under Ethelbert's patronage, Mellitus built St. Paul's Cathedral, which is generally said to have been on the site of the ancient Roman Temple of Diana, although Christopher Wren has found no evidence for this. It was originally just a simple church and was probably destroyed by Sibert's pagan successors after he was expelled from the city. The permanent establishment of Christianity in the Kingdom of Essex took place during the reign of King Sibert in the 750s. During the 8th century, the Kingdom of Mercia extended its hold over southeastern England, initially through absolute rule that sometimes evolved into full annexation. London seemed to have come under direct Mercian control in the 830s. Viking raids were common throughout most of the 9th century and became increasingly common from about 830 onwards. London was sacked in 842 and again in 851. The Danish, Great Pagan Army, which had been wreaking havoc across England since 865, wintered in London in 871. It was crowned by Alfred the Great and rejoined Mercia, and then ruled by his brother-in-law, Old Ethelred, during Alfred's reign.